Hi friends, today's topic is things that I have stopped doing in my 50s and things that I've started doing in my 50s. And honestly, I wanted a break from all of the Nordstrom anniversary sale stuff. I wanted to just create a video where you and I sat down across the screen from each other and just chit-chatted about lifestyle. So no links in the description box, no all that stuff. Let's just be friends sitting down talking about life in this video. So where I got this idea from in the first place was on Instagram. I did this as an Instagram live and the feedback was so loud. Let me tell you what they said. So the reason I did it on a live is because I wanted to be able to answer questions as they were being asked in real time. Well, the feedback I got was, loved the content, loved that it was so valuable, but it was so annoying for you to stop what you were talking about to answer questions over here. So I thought I'd redo it, only this time on YouTube, not doing a live, and just walking through all of the things that I have stopped and started in my 50s. Before we get too far along in this video, I just wanted to point out that this thumbnail is not polished. 9 are, 1 is not. So rather than stopping the video and me go polish my fingernail, we're just going to call this real life. This started chipping last night, so I took the polish off and I forgot to put polish back on. And so yeah, this is your girlfriend with 9 fingers polished and 1 not. All right, jumping into our topic. I am 57 years old, so yes, I am well into my 50s. And you know, I think the 50s are a great season of life. And I don't know if we have, maybe for me, I guess I'm speaking, more confidence or more certainty of who I am and it being okay with who I am, but that's how I have felt more in my 50s than any other season of life. So the first thing that I stopped doing in my 50s was wearing bras that don't fit me. I know that sounds crazy, but I remember on my 50th birthday, I had made an appointment to go have a bra fitting. I had never had one before. I know, can you believe? And I wanted a bra that fit. Even if it cost a lot, I wanted to own one that fit me. So that's what I did. And I bought 3 different styles of bra, you know, all being fitted there. And it really taught me something. It taught me that it makes a difference when you wear a fitted bra or not wear a fitted bra. And you don't, at least me, let me speak in reference to me. I didn't realize how much better my clothes looked when I wore undergarments that actually fit me properly than when I didn't. So I don't know why it took me until my 50s to get that straight, but that's one thing that I stopped doing in my 50s, was wearing bras that don't fit me. I've also stopped wearing clothes that are not my style, or accessories as well. You know, a lot of times I'll want to be current and trendy, and not over the top trendy, but you know, current with my styles, and I would dabble in, what I'm thinking of in particular are bold prints. And that was popular for a while. And I remember thinking, oh, you know, I'm gonna try that. And so I would get a few and I would sprinkle them in, you know, I'd wear them. And honestly, it's just not me. I'm not a bold print girl. And you know, I finally said, why am I doing this? I don't like bold prints. I'm not going to wear them. And especially with what I do as a content creator, most of what I do is share fashion with you. And so, you know, I wanted to be well-rounded and I wanted to show you things that not just I liked, but maybe you liked too. And there is that element to it. But, you know, I felt like I was being an imposter, showing things that I didn't really like, wearing things I didn't really like. It wasn't my style. Another example, and I think I've shared this with you before, is colorful, bold jewelry and necklaces and bracelets and earrings. And I love that on other people. I think it's so cute. And I have tried it. And for me, I feel like I'm wearing a costume. Like it's just not my style. And I guess in more recent years, in my 50s, I have come to a place where I'm okay with that. You know what? I don't have to do that. And I'm fine with the style that I have and that I like. And this may be popular over here, but I'm really okay not dabbling in that and being comfortable with the choices that I like to wear. All right, so that's another one. I have my list right here. So another thing is, this is a biggie, people pleasing. So I was a huge, and I still am, I just don't struggle as much with it, people pleaser. You know, if they need help with something at church, I'll volunteer. Or if a friend asks me to do something and I, just always saying yes. And I reached a place in my life where I felt comfortable saying no, it's not a good time for me. And a lot of that came from me feeling like I couldn't do 100 things well. I couldn't do this, that, and this 100%. I could do these three and give it my all and do well at that, and be successful. But I couldn't do this, that, and that, and give my all to each one. And so rather than spreading myself too thin and trying to please everyone, I learned the word no. And also I learned that I don't need to explain away why. I can just say, no, it's just not gonna work for me this week, or no, my schedule just doesn't allow that. I wish I could, but it's learning the word no is huge. And at first, if you're anything like me, you feel guilty about it. And we need to get over that, because I don't know about you, but I want to do things with excellence. I want to live my life with excellence, and I don't want to do things halfway. And I feel like when I, don't put too many things on my plate, when I just keep it even and I do what I can manage, then I'm able to do these things really well. Another thing that I've stopped doing in my 50s is I've stopped tolerating toxic people in my life. And I've also learned how to recognize toxic people in my life, that's heavy, it's heavy. It's one thing to brush off that that's just how they are. And it's another thing to realize that I do not need to be around that, because that brings me down, that discourages me. It's kind of like, negativity is contagious. If you're around someone who's negative all the time, then for me, all of a sudden I'll start being negative, and it's like, wait, I don't want that. No. And so I've learned to recognize who are the toxic people in my life and to not allow them space too close to me. What I mean by that is some people in your life, they're going to be there no matter what. They may be family, they may be neighbors, they may be, I don't know, but sometimes, you don't choose necessarily the people in your life. And look, this doesn't mean that you don't love them. You can still love them, and I do, but I have learned to put up healthy boundaries so that I remain in a safe space, so that I remain in a healthy space mentally, and that I'm not constantly frustrated or discouraged or feel less than. So I'll give you an example. So I had a situation, and this has been a few years back, but in my 50s, and somebody that is in my life and is going to continue to be in my life, really spoke to me in a way that was unacceptable. And I did not respond right away because I wanted a minute to absorb it and to not respond out of reflex, out of just like a quick response. I wanted to respond wisely. So I called my son. My youngest son is a therapist. He's a counselor. Went to school for it. That's what he does. And so, he's learned, he's learned how to word things. And anyway, he was who I called. And I said, look, I need some input. This is where I'm at in this situation. And what would you tell me? And he said, Mom, for the first thing, because it was the first time that this had happened with that person, and he said, you need to establish immediately boundary lines. And you need to be very firm on what those boundary lines are, and you need to be firm on what will happen if they are crossed. And then you have to stick to it, because it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. So I said, all right, well, here is a boundary line that I feel safe with. This is what I would like to say, that da-da-da-da. And he said, okay, you need to communicate that. So I did a couple of things. I asked my husband, well, first of all, he's sort of like my balancing, like my, I'll bounce things off of him and he keeps me sort of grounded. He keeps me balanced, because I can be over emotional and he can bring me back down to normal level, And so I talked with him about it. And so I said, okay, when I have this conversation, would you mind being with me? And he's, no, not at all. Absolutely. I'll be with you. I don't mind. And so he was. And then that kind of helps me too with I don't know. I felt comfortable having him there. And so I said to this person, the way that you've spoken to me, and I used their own words back to them so that I was very clear and there was no misunderstanding, is unacceptable. And you may not speak to me that way. And going forward, you will not speak to me that way. I want relationship with you. I hope we can continue to have relationship. However, if you choose to cross that boundary line with me, you are choosing to not have relationship with me. And that would make me so sad, because I love you and I want to be in a relationship with you. But you can't do this. This is not okay. And it was received, and it hasn't happened since then. And so I'm very thankful for that. I'm also I'm serious when I say, if it ever happens again, the boundary lines in our relationship will be very different. It will not be good. But I was ready for that, even though I did not want that. I was ready for that. And this person has honored that. And my takeaway from this situation, I know I'm spending a lot of time on it, I'm sorry, is that I didn't knee-jerk react to being spoken to ugly, okay? I didn't knee-jerk. I paused, and I took a moment, and I realized what is acceptable to me and what isn't acceptable, and used that person's words back to them so they would know very specifically what is not acceptable. And I'm happy to report that we have a healthy relationship today, and an enjoyable relationship, and it hasn't been an issue since then. There's part of me that's always a little bit scared that it might happen again, but it hasn't. So I'm just going to be happy with that result and move on. I've become a lot less judgy of a person in my 50s. And maybe that's just wisdom that comes with age, but I used to judge people. Like, I was judgy. And I don't even like saying that out loud, but it's the truth. And I would cast a judgment on a situation that I did not know about. I did not know anything about, or a person I didn't know anything about. And I've learned that you never know what is going on over here. You just don't. And to sort of like a phrase that I've sort of taken on in my 50s is always assume the best until you're told something different. Don't assume that you weren't invited because they hate you and they don't like you and they wish you weren't their friend. No, don't assume that. Think the worst. Think the best until you're told differently. And so I've just taken that on and thought, you know what? I don't know what's going on over there. It's not my business. And I'm just going to assume the best and not be a Supreme Court judgy judge, you know? This is so random. I've stopped over plucking my eyebrows. I don't know what was with me, but I look at pictures of myself in my 40s and I had these paper thin eyebrows. What was I thinking? I don't know. It's not pretty. So I don't know if I just got a revelation and stopped that nonsense, but I don't ever pluck my eyebrows anymore. Another thing that I changed, and this was right around the time I hit 50, is I stopped adding sugar to my coffee. For years, I've been a coffee drinker for as long as I can remember, and I'd always put sugar in my coffee and cream. And so I just decided one day, you know what, that's something that I do every single day. I drink coffee every single day. And so I put sugar in there every day. And if I just cut that out, I just cut sugar out of my coffee. Am I really gonna miss it that much? I don't think so. So my husband did it too at the same time. I'm like, you wanna do this with me? He's like, yeah, because he used to drink black with sugar, no cream. And so he just drinks black now, and I drink coffee with unflavored vanilla almond milk and no sugar. And you know what? I haven't missed it. And I don't know that I'm a ton healthier because I stopped doing that, but it's just one little change that I made, and so I'm fine with it. All right, last one on the things that I've stopped doing in my 50s. And I'll be honest, I'm still working on this, but I became a lot more aware of it in my 50s, and I'm trying very hard to stop this. Saying I'm sorry all the time. Now, it's one thing to say you're sorry, and when you have done something wrong and you need to be sorry for it, you need to tell somebody that you're sorry. But using the phrase I'm sorry overboard, way too much. For instance, bumping into somebody and saying, oh, sorry, oh, I'm so sorry, just say, excuse me. Oh, excuse me, I didn't see you. Or, when someone's telling me something and I say, oh, so sorry, just, I don't know. I'm not using a good example right now. I wish I could think of a better one, but I say I'm sorry way too much. So I want to stop that, and I want to only say I'm sorry when it's a real legitimate thing that I'm sorry about and I need to apologize for. All right, moving on to things that I've started doing in my 50s. I started taking supplements in my 50s, and it changes from time to time based on what my doctor tells me I should be taking and this type of thing. So for instance, I'll just give you a few ideas of some of the supplements that I take. So I take D3, and this is because my doctor told me to. D3, DHEA, which is what I'm told sort of pushes the D3, it sort of gives it a little nudge. That's how it was described to me. I take magnesium. I was taking collagen, and I took that for several years. And then all of a sudden, I feel like my collagen isn't working anymore. So I've stopped taking that because I wasn't seeing, it used to help me with joints and with skin, hair, and nails, but I have not been seeing the results as of late with that. So I've stopped collagen, and I'm about to try something new. I don't want to tell you about it yet, but I want to use it for a good month before I tell you. And then if I like it, I'll share it with you. But so I've kind of put collagen on hold, but I think it's a good thing. It just, I don't know why it hasn't been working for me. And then I am on hormone replacement. I'm on estradiol and progesterone. So that's pretty much, oh, and I'm also on a supplement for osteoporosis. So I take that, it's a pill that I take once a week. I started intermittent fasting in my 50s, and I still practice that. I've started it a long time ago. I still practice it today, and it, I believe, helps me maintain the weight that I want to be. Now, what does that look like for me? It can look different for different people. It's only eating within a window of time. For me, that is from noon until 8 p.m. So I don't eat anything before noon, after I wake up, and I don't eat anything after 8 p.m. And that window, if you're going to do intermittent fasting, it can be anywhere. You can make it from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can move that needle wherever you would like, or you can make that window smaller. And for me, this is a comfortable way, and I like to keep doing this. It keeps me in check with my weight. And so I get the question, does coffee count in water? No. And you know what? You do you. If you want to say that it counts, okay. For me, I'm going to do me. And so I have coffee and I have water before noon. And then I'll eat my lunch around noon, and then I'll have my dinner around between 6 and 7. And yeah, I don't put anything in my mouth after 8. So it's just something that has helped me, and I've heard good things about, other people that do it, have, they enjoy the results that they get. I feel like it keeps them, in a good place, healthy as far as eating and that type of thing. So yeah, started that in my 50s and still doing it now. I started with good skincare in my 50s, and I'm so embarrassed to say that I really wasn't using good quality skincare until I was about 52. Really, I mean, that's just crazy. I would wash my face and I would use a moisturizer, just the bare minimum. And, now I realize the importance of doing that, and so of using good skincare. So it doesn't have to be expensive skincare to be good, but you find what works for you. I use a good cleanser. I remove my makeup. I guess that's called a double cleanse. First, I remove my makeup, and then I cleanse my face. I use a good exfoliator. I use a vitamin C serum. I use other anti-aging serums, hyaluronic acid. I use a great moisturizer. I use SPF religiously. I used to never use SPF. I don't know why I didn't. It's just something I never really thought about. And so I do. I use SPF every day. I use a tinted SPF on my face, and then on my neck down, I use just a clear SPF. But yeah, I will definitely, from my chest up, is covered with SPF, even on days that I will be in the house and I'm not going anywhere. It's just a daily thing. Now, of course, I use SPF at the beach and, when I'm outside doing stuff. I'm not really outside a whole lot, but my face and my neck and décolleté are SPF covered all the time now. Another thing that I've started doing in my 50s, and again, I think this comes with just wisdom of getting older, and that is I make a conscious choice to be unoffendable, to not be offended by something. And I'm human, and just like anybody else, there will be instances, but now I catch myself early on. So for instance, if it can happen in my work, it can happen with friends, if she's doing, I'll use my work as an example. So, if other midlife influencers that I'm close to, and this one, they got brand collaborations from this one brand, and she got it, and I didn't get it. And I would be like, well, do they hate me? I mean, like, that's my first, does the brand hate me? Like, what is the deal? Like, that will be, but I'll catch myself. I'm a lot quicker now to catch myself and say, no, they don't hate you. They are just rotating who they work with, and just choosing to not be offended by things. Oh, and look, I get in what I do, being a content creator, there will be comments from people that say the most random things. Some are mean. I don't have as many mean comments as I used to, but when somebody will say something ugly, the first thing that pops in my head is that I'm not going to be offended by that. I'm not going to take it personally. They're probably grouchy and they're having a bad day. I read a really good book not too long ago. Well, I say not too long ago, maybe 6 years ago, called Unoffendable. And it really put things in perspective for me and sort of taught me how to stop and not choose to be offended, but stop and say, you know what, I'm not going to let that. I'm not going to assume the worst. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to choose to not be offended. So if I didn't get to be a part of that over there, it's okay, because something else is going to come along, and it always does. And so, but I want to emphasize that it's a choice to not be offended. It's a choice. And, I'll have a comment like, well, never mind. I'm not going to say, because we're not going to be negative here, but when I get a negative comment, I will just stop right there and say, I'm not going to be offended by that. They're probably having a bad day. And you know what? Most of the time I'll say, in the business, in what I do, I'll just respond and say, thank you for your feedback, because I do appreciate feedback, even if it's negative feedback. I do appreciate it. So I prefer if it's said in a nicer way, but it's okay. And I choose to not be offended. I've been very intentional in this season of life to invest in friendships, because what I've found is if I'm not intentional about it, then I'll go 6 months without seeing a friend. And so I have a few girlfriends here locally that will say, we've got to get together and do lunch or coffee or dinner at least once a month, and I'm telling you, and it's just me, maybe you're different, but if I don't write down in my planner to call her and to set something up or text or whatever, it just won't happen. And I want to be intentional with friendships. I want to maintain them, because life gets very busy, and I don't want, all a year to slip by and me to realize I haven't even communicated with her in this amount of time. I don't want that. So I choose to be intentional, and that's something that, I guess, just thinking back as we're talking, when your kids are younger and you are bringing them places and they're involved in sports and church and all the things, you sort of automatically have, I had friendships with moms of my kids, and I would see them and we would chit chat, and there was just always, but when your kids are grown, you don't have that as much. And so it takes real intentionality to maintain friendships. Random thing that I started doing in my 50s is drinking water. A lot. I always have a water cup with me, and I just refill it and refill it and refill it throughout the day. And unless it's one of my 40-ounce Stanleys, then I'll, drink what I can. But anyway, it is something that I'm so glad I started doing. I have no idea why I did not start it sooner. Why? It's so good for you. I don't know why didn't I start it? My skin looks better. I feel better. I, don't eat as much. There's just so many benefits to drinking water. I don't know what I waited for, but I drink a lot of water. They say that you should, whatever your weight is, that you should drink half of that amount in ounces. So let's just say you weigh 100 pounds, you should drink 50 ounces of water in a day. So there's your gauge on how much. And so I'll just keep track like that. And it's free, it's easy, and there are so many benefits. Why not? The last thing that I've started doing, and this sort of goes along the same line as being intentional with friendships, is being very intentional with my family. So we live close. We live about 10 minutes away from my parents, and we live about 45 minutes away from our boys. And so, I don't want weeks and months to go by without me seeing them. So we started, this has been going on about 2 years ago, I guess. Paul and I have my parents over for dinner every Tuesday night. And it's low key, it's low pressure, it's not fine china. I mean, it is just, it's just, the whole reason is to invest time in each other and to stay consistent in that. And so we've been doing that for a couple of years now. And something else that we've been doing longer than that we've been doing this, another thing since like maybe 5 years ago, is Sunday lunch with our family. And that is including my kids and their girlfriend, fiance, whoever at the time, always welcome. And so for many years, we did it every single Sunday. And we didn't want it to be something that we dreaded, like, oh, I've got to cook. And, we didn't want it to be anything like that. So we said, we'll just do takeout and we'll eat at my parents' house and enjoy. And the reason I say that is because my parents can't hear real well. So when we go out to eat, they have a hard time hearing because of all the noise. And so we have a much richer conversation with everybody if we do takeout and bring it home. And every once in a while, I'll cook. But for the most part, we do takeout. And so that's something, and I'm so blessed that my boys have kept that a priority. I mean, truly, what an honor, what a gift, it's a time where we laugh together, it's a time where we share hard stuff, what's going on, we've lived through things like every other family has, like starting new jobs and being fired from jobs and new relationships and engagements being broken off. I mean, there have been things, and when we have that family unit every Sunday of feeding into encouragement into each other and laughing together, it feels good to laugh with your people, It's just it's medicine to my soul. I mean, I tell you, it does wonders for me. Now, in this particular season, we have had to back off a little and do it every other Sunday. And that's okay. This is what happened. So my son's fiance, her family loved what we were doing at, Sunday family lunch, and they wanted to do it too. And so they go every other Sunday to her parents' house and every other Sunday to my parents' house. It's Ryan's grandparents. So, I chose to not be offended when they wanted to cut down and do every other Sunday. I could have had my panties in a wad about that and been like, no, but no, instead of being disgruntled about it, I'm just thrilled that they still want to come, even if it is every other week. And so it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And then my Eric, there's times when he has to work. He's still in school and he works part-time, and sometimes he has to work on Sundays. And instead of being like, just we're so glad when he doesn't and he comes. So it's a real encouragement to my soul. I love it. It's a gift, and I know that it may not always be this way, but for this season of life, it is, and I am so very, very grateful. I hope this was okay. I hope this format was okay. I hope it's okay that we don't always have to talk about shopping and fashion and beauty. As much as I love all that, and I truly do love it, I feel like you girls are my friends on the other side of the screen, and especially when you comment and I kind of get to know your personality, but I feel like you're my friends, and sometimes I just feel like chatting about life, and I hope that's okay. Let me know in the comments below if this is okay and if you like this. And if so, we'll rotate this in and do this every once in a while, but I thought it would be fun and different to do. Thanks for spending part of your day with me today. It means so very much. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you a little bit later here on YouTube.